Nowadays, highly suggestive media is literally everywhere you turn. You see it constantly on social media, reality shows, and movies. It feels like you can't escape it. In our digital world, it is always being forced on you. People assume that the adult industry exists solely because it generates billions of dollars. But in reality, the real purpose behind this industry is total and complete control. They created the perfect trap to hijack your mind and drain your natural drive. Why, you ask? Well, if they control your reward system, they control you. This is how they turn millions into unmotivated, unambitious individuals who are infinitely easier to manage. Today, we are unveiling exactly how those behind this industry hijacked your brain forever. By the end of this video, you will never think of that content the same again. In our modern digital world, this industry has embedded itself in our society. This content has moved far beyond hidden stores and mail-order magazines. It is literally in your face every time you go on your phone. Today, we almost give it no thought, viewing it as a normal part of modern life. But have you ever asked yourself why? When did we as people turn something so private, sacred, and intimate into a meaningless mass-produced spectacle? Believe it or not, things were completely different in the past. There existed a time when this content was heavily frowned upon and literally illegal. People could not legally produce or distribute this kind of media. All of that changed because of one man who led us down this dark path. Let's go back to the 1940s and 50s where this all started. A researcher named Alfred Kinsey wanted to change the way people saw intimacy. He wanted to prove that it existed solely for physical pleasure, completely separating it from reproduction or love. To convince the world to adopt his ideologies, he published the Kinsey Reports, and these books went on to completely flip society upside down. They completely changed how the world viewed human intimacy and sparked the hookup culture we live in today. What the history books leave out is the highly unethical reality behind his research. Kinsey became completely obsessed with normalizing behaviors that society deemed entirely taboo. He wanted to push a free love lifestyle. To do this, he needed to change the laws that prohibited these behaviors. To get the exact results he wanted, he conducted one of the most controversial studies in recent history, the Kinsey Reports. With his reports, he sought out to prove that humans were naturally sensual beings. He wanted to justify that participating in the act solely for physical pleasure was entirely necessary for a human being. The only problem is, he achieved this by heavily manipulating his data. For his reports, he claimed to conduct studies and interviews on all types of people, ranging from the very young to the much older. By the end of his studies, he concluded that humans should be allowed to freely explore these desires. His findings eventually helped pass several laws that changed society forever and opened the doors for the adult industry we know today. But what Kinsey failed to mention was that he did not interview ordinary, everyday people. He built his statistics using the accounts of prisoners, institutionalized individuals, and the absolute extreme fringes of society. The darkest aspect of his research is his complete disregard for basic human ethics. He relied on the detailed records of deeply disturbed individuals who were actively committing severe crimes against the most vulnerable. I cannot go into the specifics here on YouTube, but if you want to get the full, uncensored story on these studies, check out the Patreon video I did on this exact subject. It is linked right down in the description. To put it very lightly, Kinsey was exposed for using people that were way too young for his kind of study.
Reisman, a world historian in the destruction of human sexuality. Dr. Reisman is recognized as an expert witness exposing the industry's hidden agenda.
Playboy sued you, or you sued Playboy?
No, Playboy sued me for libel and slander.
What happened?
I won.
So how did we get here to where we're at today? Because I don't think pornography has always been such an epidemic cancer within our society like it is today.
No, not at all. We were, up to the end of the Second World War, a conservative Judeo-Christian nation. The turning point for all that was Dr. Alfred Kinsey, his book, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, 1948. He was the father of the sexual revolution, and therefore the father of everything that has come from that. And certainly one of the key things.
Kinsey took these terrible acts, gave them a scientific seal of approval, and presented them to the public as objective science. And guess who funded these heavily manipulated studies? The Rockefeller family. Once these reports became the standard, society began to shift alongside of them. This birthed the rise of counterculture and the quote-unquote hippie movement. But most importantly, it birthed the adult industry that is still thriving to this very day. The Kinsey Reports directly inspired a pioneer of this industry, Hugh Hefner. Hefner credited the Kinsey reports for inspiring him to create his massive empire. He recognized that Kinsey had provided a scientific excuse for indulging in physical desires without any restraint.
In the first introduction to the first issue, we called it The Other Great Book that was coming out in 1953. Max Lerner, the historian and a good friend of mine, said that Kinsey was the researcher and I was the pamphleteer.
Kinsey was the researcher and I was the pamphleteer.
And it's an interesting way of looking at it. I certainly do think that in a very real way, the social revolution began in 1953, with the second book and the beginning of Playboy.
Slowly, Hefner pushed the boundaries with his company until there were none left. It evolved from magazines to VHS tapes in sketchy stores to the explosion of online sites, and the rest was history. Soon after, the world Alfred Kinsey envisioned began to manifest. What was once intimate and sacred was diminished to a commodity used for pleasure and profit. But what people didn't realize while they were giving into their desires was that they were walking into a trap that they never saw coming. The people who pulled the strings saw the massive potential this industry had. They saw how it could be used to subdue millions of people without any physical resistance. It all goes back to the science behind the content. So how does this system of control actually operate on you today? Well, we have to look at your brain. When you consume adult films, your brain releases a massive flood of dopamine. Normally, you earn your dopamine. You hit the gym or you do good with your business, but when you consume this media, you're artificially hacking your own system and getting an unearned reward. This creates a severe dependency. Researchers at the University of Cambridge actually mapped the brains of heavy consumers, and the results were undeniable. Their brain activity mirrored the exact same neural patterns seen in people addicted to hard substances. The adult entertainment industry isn't just business. It functions as a highly addictive digital narcotic. Now, this is where things get deep. There is significant evidence that Alfred Kinsey was a dedicated follower of Aleister Crowley. For those who don't know, Crowley was a notorious British mystic who founded an esoteric religion built on the principles of a new spiritual era. A core goal within his teachings was the normalization of illicit behaviors as a way to dismantle traditional morality and usher in this new age. It is well documented that Kinsey maintained a close friendship with a man named Kenneth Anger, a filmmaker and a devoted follower of these exact esoteric teachings. Both Kinsey and Anger were even photographed together inside the lodge of this infamous mystic, which raises some massive red flags. It appears that Kinsey shared the exact same vision for the future. He wanted to fundamentally reshape how people saw intimacy and reorganize society under a different set of rules. We have to ask why Kinsey was allegedly linked to this specific inner circle while simultaneously pushing a lifestyle that mirrored their core religious tenets. When you start to research these beliefs, it offers a disturbing explanation for the world we live in today. It all connects back to ancient mystical traditions and the preservation of vital creative energy. The central belief within these secretive groups is that you evolve spiritually by strictly preserving your physical creative fluids. They see this energy as a literal life force and a physical manifestation of a person's power. According to their traditions, wasting that divine energy causes spiritual destruction and keeps a person permanently trapped in the material world. My research suggests they are using these same beliefs as a weapon against the rest of us to maintain a permanent advantage. If these groups believe that saving their creative energy allows them to reach a higher state of being, then the same logic dictates that wasting it will prevent you from ever ascending to that level. This creates a clear strategy for the management of the public. How do you prevent people from ever reaching their true potential or a higher level of enlightenment? You trick them into wasting their creative energy by providing them with an endless supply of this suggestive content. Think about how easy they made it for you to access that content. Once upon a time, you had to order a physical magazine or buy a VHS tape. Not only did you have to spend your money on it, but it introduced a massive social risk. You had to worry about your spouse finding it or the judgment from those around you. Today, those barriers have been completely destroyed. All you have to do is open your phone's browser or scroll through social media. Instantly, you're bombarded with non-stop suggestive content. They made it almost impossible to resist. By consistently shoving it in your face, they ensure you never have a second of peace without it. A common argument is that this shift was done for convenience. If you make a product easier to access, you get more customers. However, we have to look past the surface of that explanation. What if the true goal was to consistently feed you this content so they can successfully hijack your brain? This keeps you exactly where they need you. Like I said, some people believe that individuals who constantly waste their vital energy will never transcend or free themselves. Keeping the masses trapped in their lower desires makes them incredibly easy to direct and subdue. Think about it, this suggests the elite wants the masses to waste their vital essence while they actively preserve their own to maintain their power. They push this media to keep you trapped in a cycle of instant gratification, stripping away your ambition and leaving us with a society completely enslaved to its own screens. We have seen the entire timeline of how we reached this point, how the Kinsey reports birthed this industry, how Hugh Hefner took these findings and built a commercial empire that turned intimacy into a product. Most importantly, we have seen the hard science proving that this media physically shrinks the reward centers of your brain and destroys your willpower. When you look at all of this evidence together, a much bigger picture begins to form. The elite who manage the system of our world understand human nature on a level that most people never consider. They understand that an individual who is constantly chasing an artificial digital high is someone who would never have the focus or drive to challenge the status quo. By providing an endless supply of instant gratification, they ensure that millions of people remain trapped in their lower self. Whether you think it's the biological reality or the ancient esoteric theories, the final result remains the same. Your vital energy is being drained, and your potential is being hijacked. This entire industry was engineered to keep you docile, unmotivated, and far away from your true purpose. They want you to believe this is just a normal part of the modern world, but as we have uncovered today, it is a sophisticated system of management. I seriously encourage you to take this information and reflect on it. If you want to see the full, uncensored breakdown of the Kinsey studies and the deeper history that was too intense for this platform, the link to my Patreon is in the description. Your support there allows me to keep this channel independent and gives me the resources to continue digging deeper into these topics. I truly care for each and every one of you, and my goal is to see you break free from these traps and find your way back to a higher path. Take this knowledge and use it to better your life. We can all see the path this took us on. While the industry was once seen as edgy and deplorable, today, young ladies flock to the industry to offer their beauty for a subscription price. Recently, I did a video on the company that changed the industry forever. They managed to do what Hefner never could, normalize the industry. By doing that, this company tricked millions onto a terrible path. If you want to see how this company secretly trapped millions of creators, watch this video right now. And if you want to show support to the channel, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join the movement. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.